Hello, everyone, and we're back with the two mana critics today. We have Derek and Julie. Julie, who's been hiding in the underworld. Julie, where have you been?
Oh, I've been out and about,
collecting spiders,
bread clips, etc.
Spiders and bread clips. You won't see this, but your image is going to be a spider of some sort. Can you tell us a little bit about your love for spiders and how that relates to Magic the Gathering?
So I have always had an affinity for spiders. I do not have a conscious memory of this, but when I was very small, about 1 year old, my parents moved into the house that I grew up in. And they tell a story about how at some point, and this was sometime in October, so it was kind of creepy, kind of a creepy vibe. I had wandered off while they were unpacking, and I came back, sort of barely verbal, and I was very excited about something, and I held out my hand, and I had found several dead black widows, and I'd been playing with them. And my parents, of course, were horrified, but this is an ongoing thing. This has been sort of a lifelong interest for me. I love their leggy bodies, and I just think spiders are great. But one of my early Halloween costumes, I had a Black Widow spider costume that was really fun. I still think about that costume frequently. I was only able to wear it one Halloween because I outgrew it.
2 Halloweens ago, you came out to Halloween with us with it was an insect.
It was a roach costume.
Yeah.
That was a separate event. But yes, I have my affinity for spiders has extended into Magic the Gathering. I have a collection of every printing of Giant Spider, minus 1 or 2 specialty prints, like the 30th anniversary edition.
Wow.
And I also have a Spider Commander deck led by Shelob. That is all spiders. Spiders only creature type, no other creatures allowed.
Any metallic mimics or fakes spiders?
No shapeshifters allowed. They are banned.
Yeah, that's not very Vorthos.
Well, Spider-Man in the new Marvel set is a spider as well.
Wrong target audience for that one.
So tell us, how did you get in? How did you get into Magic the Gathering, Julie?
So I got into Magic the Gathering, it was right after Khans of Tarkir had released. So it was around 2013, 2014 or so. And I don't remember what we were doing there, but a friend and I were at a local game store. I think they might have been buying Pokemon cards or something else that the game store sold. And I saw one of those, it was a Khans of Tarkir like intro pack, those decks that they used, those like really terrible.
The dual decks?
It wasn't a dual deck, it was like an intro deck.
Okay.
That they used to make around that time. And so it came with a really shoddy quality deck and a single pack of cards. Uh-huh. And I bought one of those. I was like, this game looks fun. Like, I've seen Magic around. I grew up an only child. I never really had like a group of friends that I could have gotten into something like that with, and so I kind of shied away from multiplayer stuff for that reason. Like more than one person multiplayer. I should say, at least use that pretty loosely. But I'd seen Magic packs in stores, and I was always kind of curious about them. So I was like, I'm gonna buy this and just see what it is. And I opened the booster pack while I was in the store. And the first pack I ever opened had Sorin Solemn Visitor in it, which at the time was considered a pretty good card. And the store clerk got very excited, and I was like, oh, I guess this is a good thing. And he's like, yeah, it's great. And then I had this terrible deck that it came with. So after that, I started, looking into better decks, and I learned how to draft in that format, and that was really rough because learning to draft for the first time ever in a 3-color shard kind of draft environment
with morph everywhere,
with morph and all these things was not the easiest for someone who was just getting into the game, but that's how I got involved in Magic.
So draft was essentially your start to Magic.
Kind of, yeah, because I had just sort of gotten the hang of, like, this is how you play a normal 2-person player game of Magic, and then, like, a couple of weeks into that, I was at an event, like an F&M, and some guys bought a box, and we're going to do a draft, and I was like, oh, what's this about? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll show you. And so I was basically like learning as I'm opening packs, which was not, I did not build a competitive deck whatsoever. But I enjoyed the experience of getting to pick out your cards and build a very limited deck from your draft pack.
A literal limited deck. A limited deck.
Yes, a literal limited. Yeah, to this day, I would say my favorite ways to play Magic are sealed and draft. So I still very much like that style of play.
I mean, our typical pattern when we've been recording regularly has been find a weeknight when you don't have to work late, come over here, we record an episode, then we play a sealed game for a couple hours.
Usually, yeah.
No, I agree. I think there's a real purity in draft and sealed, and that is... I think a lot of the ills of Commander are solved if you play a lot of limited, and then when you play Commander, you can just have fun with it, because you get out a lot of things that people are trying to get out in Commander, which Commander's not designed for.
Yes, very true. I agree with that.
Speaking of Khans of Tarkir, obviously we have a new Tarkir set coming out. Are you excited about that?
You know, I've just been kind of on a sort of Magic detox, if you will, where I have not really been engaging with it too much. So I am still involved in the group chat that our play group has going. So I've seen a lot of stuff coming out, things that people are hyped about for the return to Tarkir. I'm not personally planning to participate in any events, but it, of course, may be something I come back to in the future. I certainly haven't ruled that out. Just at this moment in time, my interests are kind of engaged elsewhere.
Oh, and what's the cause of your depleted interest in Magic the Gathering? Is that possible?
It's been a number of things, but I identified that it started probably about 6-ish or so months ago when Derek and I went to MagicCon Lux Vegas. And I don't know, they were announcing their lineup for products, and just the number of Universes Beyond products that are slated to come out for the 2025 year. I didn't see a lot of things I was excited about.
And how did you feel about the checkered flag?
I hate the checkered flag set symbol. I despise it. Like every time I see one of these cards, he was showing me some cards with shark pirates on it earlier, which I was very excited. I was excited about the shark pirates. I thought they were very cool. And then my eyes just kept going down to the checkered flag set symbol, and I had to consciously look away from it
to avoid the rage,
because I really, really don't like it.
And Derek and I have both been enjoyers of that Ether Drift set. The draft is impeccable. I've heard that it's quite a lovely draft format. I just really wish they had picked a different set.
I had the same kind of journey with Duskmourn, though, to a lesser extent. Like, I find the racing set to be pretty egregious in terms of Planet of the Hats and just not a good fit for the rest of the game. I found 80s horror to be moderately like that, but a good draft format will atone for almost any sins for me personally.
Yeah, I think you played more games in Duskmourn than I think any other set.
Oh yeah,
Arena,
yeah,
right?
I blew past. Well, normally I get like 50 drafts per set. That one was 90, 95.
Incredible.
But going back to Outlaws of Thunder Junction, like, we are from Texas. I have had enough cowboy hats for my entire lifetime. Was not into that. But also, Wizards creative team is just so good that you take something that is a premise, is a 2 out of 10 for me, and they can get up to like a 6 out of 10, and I'm still having a pretty good time.
Yeah, and as Derek and I have spoken about before, the Ether Drift has wonderful moments in it, and Derek's done a wonderful video about just these pockets of flavor which are impeccable in different ways. For me, I really love the full art lands. As silly as the driver's wheel view of a big road ahead is, I love the sweeping vistas of these different planes, and the fact that it's a silly excuse to see it in that way, but they're quite pretty, and for me that's almost half the battle, I think.
I saw a Reddit post stating that that they did one thing just excellently with those, which is, this is the only set where that's appropriate. Like, if you're going to do a full art land, make them unique to the set in question, and that is hyper specific to this set. There's no other set that they're probably ever going to do where that would make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's true.
But I understand as well. Of course, it is about, with the Universes Beyond, it is about whether they find the property for you. I'm excited about Final Fantasy. I'm excited about Marvel. Is there a property in Universes Beyond, or a potential Universes Beyond property, that would excite you and bring you back to Magic?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's a bit of, I'm not sure how to describe it, but I kind of feel like I want to say there's a time and a place for me. And like, I also very much enjoy Final Fantasy, a longtime fan. However, for me, Final Fantasy has its own card game. And that's kind of something where I just don't really I don't feel like it needs to be part of the Magic universe, or beyond. Let's see. I will say that when they were doing products like the Doctor Who Commander decks, the Fallout Commander decks, the Lord of the Rings standalone Somerset, I was much more okay with that. I would prefer, if I was making these kinds of decisions, that Universes Beyond is fine, but it should be a side note. It should be something that we have as a little sprinkle on top to the otherwise mostly Magic IP. And so I will say, with the caveat, that if it's not going to be replacing a mainline set, right now I am very excited about the Dune universe, and I think if they did a Dune set, that would be pretty cool, because I would love to have a Sandworm card.
Well, we have one in Ether Drift.
Well, no, you know what I mean, like a sandworm, like a Dune sandworm.
No,
like you can have a land that's like you can have like Arrakis as a land.
No, I understand, cool. But the Ether Drift one even has Dune in the title.
Oh, does it? I'll have to look that up.
I'm on board with that. I actually think Dune would be a fantastic fit, particularly now we're moving into space opera. We've had Kamigawa.
That's true. They are kind of headed in that direction where it would not be entirely out of place.
We've already been to 40k, which is essentially Dune, but super grimdark. So that's a good one. And I haven't heard people say Dune. I don't know what the Frank Herbert estate would say, but
Yeah, I'm not sure what their stance on that would be.
Probably just based on the number of zeros at the check.
So what is your favorite flavor of Magic, apart from spiders, of course?
Apart from spiders, not including arachnids or insects, my favorite flavor is actually absurdity, or more of like a flavor fail, if you will. So my favorite memories of playing Magic, flavor-wise, are when really absurd things happen within the game. So a good example would be, there is a card called Defenestrate, which is throwing something out of a window. It can't target a creature that flies, because that wouldn't be very effective, right?
Yes.
One time I got to play that on the walking skyscraper from Neon Kamigawa, which is just a funny scenario. So those kinds of things, they always make me laugh. It usually has a great opportunity to make a joke with my opponent or with my friends. And another good one would be like when Kaladesh came out, and vehicles were very much a thing. And then we had, I think it was Shadows over Innistrad in the same block. So then suddenly you had the opportunity for werewolves and these otherwise very unqualified drivers to be piloting these different vehicles or crewing them, which I just find delightful.
It happens a lot in Ether Drift.
I would imagine so.
You sometimes have to crew a smaller vehicle, which has a certain power and toughness, to then turn that vehicle into a creature, so that you can crew a bigger vehicle that needs higher crew cost. And so it becomes this sort of clown car, where one vehicle has to go inside another vehicle to make that vehicle work.
You got to shove the carrion cruiser in the cockpit of the Marshal's path cruiser.
One of my good friends I got into Magic, when he was in his early baby stages of Magic, he'd found Veto. And Veto, of course, has that life gain, life loss synergy. And his favorite thing to do on Arena back then was play Veto, play Forbidden Fruit. I think it was the kill spell from the original Eldraine, and it makes a food if you have adamant. And then he would play Forbidden Fruit, kill a thing, and then have Vito eat the food. And so he just thought it was hilarious. Vito eats the food and then you die.
Yeah.
That's valid.
So defenestrating the walking skyscraper.
Yeah.
I've thought in the past it would be fun to make a building typal deck, but not actually typal, but buildings deck. So there's the walking skyscraper, there's the Tower of Industry from Eucapenna, which itself is a bad pun, but it's a literal tower that's walking around.
Oh, it's a Titan of Industry, right?
Oh, sorry, Titan of Industry, yes.
Right,
it's an elemental, but it's the image is of a building that's walking around. It is green, so not quite matching on the color pie there. You could go for all the shrines, they're buildings as well. You'd probably run out of buildings pretty soon. There are others. Oh, there's the battlements, that double meld card from
Hanweir battlements.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the story of that is quite interesting. It's everyone bunkered down to fortify themselves, and then they got taken over by Eldrazi and became one giant writhing mass of fleshy Eldrazi nonsense.
Yeah, that one's quite interesting. It's a bit hard to see on card level, but if you zoom in on the art, there is some really grisly bits of
on the melded version
side. Yeah, just like it's not immediately apparent on the card itself, but if you look at a large high definition version of the art, you can really see the body parts and things that are sticking out of.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize there's like a person you can see that clearly. Multiple people you can see that clearly.
Well, and the other thing is if you go back to the front side of the card, the Hanweir battlements, I think, you can identify some of the same characters in the writhing mass.
The garrison.
Yeah, so if you look at the garrison, you can see some of those people, or at least their outfits, depicted in the writhing mass of the backside.
Wow.
So, and there's actually, if you go back to the high res one, one of the most disturbing parts is there's some hands holding what looks like a child in the lower part.
Yep.
So, like, really everyone in the town just got Eldrazi'd all at once, I guess.
That tracks.
Which, that's what they do.
Oh, wow, there's some kids watching it in the foreground.
Yeah, also that. At the very bottom, there's that.
Speaking of our building typal potential deck, there's a new card in Aetherdrift that could go in there. There's the walking market, the market back walker, which is a giant market in filigree.
I love that card. It is so beautiful.
Oh, that's quite nice. I like its feet. It's got little legs. That's fun.
It's enormous as well because it's like a stadium-sized building.
Yeah, you can solve with people in it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Maybe I'll close with a final question. Will you still play some Commander from time to time, Julie? Even if you don't get into new sets, will you pull out the Shelob deck?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we have our play group has kind of dispersed, so we don't get as many opportunities.
Across the country.
Yes, like across.
It's not like we just kind of stopped playing.
Yeah, they didn't disband, but like several members of the play group moved to different states, which are quite far away. So seeing each other, say, more than once a year, twice a year maximum is not the easiest of things.
That's been my primary excuse for going to all these MagicCons over the past years. That's where I am seeing the play group who used to all be right here.
Yes, but I have every intention of keeping my favorite Commander decks together. I will still play those, even if I don't end up investing in new and upcoming sets.
Well, let's keep the gathering happening, and I will hope to speak to you guys later, and hopefully you do at least opine on the new sets with Derek for Mana Critics, because you're always a welcome voice, and no doubt there will be more insects and spiders, and we need your input on that.
Okay, yes.
Someone
has to talk about that.
We just recorded our final Fallen Empires diatribe today.
We did. We did volume 7.
Were there insects or spiders?
I don't think there were, sadly.
Yeah, it would have been better. There are thralls.
There are thralls.
Do saprolings count?
No, they're fungi.
Yeah, they don't count.
They are
But they're
fun.
great.
Yes. Well, they are fun guys.
We like them, but they're not insects or spiders.
Yeah.
Although they're blurring a line, I would say.
Yeah, they're doing something.
Are they bugs? Because bugs is a much more ambiguous word.
I don't think they are bugs.
I don't think they are.
No,
But
I don't think they are.
I think you can...
Do you want to try and make an argument to say that they are in fact bugs?
I'd say if you have a big pile of things that includes snails and centipedes and spiders and a bunch of actual insects, that is a pile of bugs. And if you had a very small sapling in there, it might be part of a pile of bugs.
Okay, I think I could give you that. If you had one small sapling in a pile of bugs, it is still a pile of bugs.
That's pretty weak, but that's what I got.
Okay. All right.
This is my contribution to this argument is, would you pull up the saproling tokens?
Okay, yeah, this is a bunch of saprolings.
All right, so, I mean, some of these are bugs, aren't they, Julie?
So, if we want to get really technical, bugs are an insect with mouth parts that are for piercing and or sucking. So, if you can find mouth parts on any one of these creatures
that's
that
the
look
definition
like
of a
they're
bug?
designed for piercing or sucking,
Really?
then I could say there's an argument to be made that they may qualify.
All right, what about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7th along, that's the Dominaria remastered one. It's just all mouth.
By Jeff Laubenstein?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely piercing. I don't know how much sucking this thing does, but...
Okay, what about the Dominaria one a few rows down? The one that looks like a snail. A little frog snail.
Let's see.
Is this the Sam White one?
That one, the one from Dominaria United?
Steve Prescott.
Steve Prescott. Oh! Yes.
Oh, this right here.
That little guy.
I love that.
I mean, I think it's a great little saproling. I don't know where I would say its mouth parts are located, if it has any.
Well, it's got all these little stems. Maybe those are sucking things up.
They could be.
I think they are.
I don't know if those are mouth parts or modified feet.
Those may be
kind.
proboscis.
But yeah, I'm not sure what those are doing. They do look like they are some kind of sensory organ, if I had to guess, but I'm not an expert in saproling physiology.
But I say go all the way down to near the bottom where you have, I think this is Magic 10 or 10th edition, and it's Cyril van der Hagen.
Yes.
That's well, it's like a hydra bug.
See, I would argue that this is almost more like a carnivorous plant. Like, this reminds me more of a pitcher plant or Venus flytrap kind of structure.
And so these little eyes things are, what's the word for like the moths who look like snake
Yeah,
heads?
I would argue that those are some kind of markings, more so than, I don't know that those are actual functional eyes. They could be. Yeah, what's the word for that? It's like a type of camouflage.
Mm-hmm. This is more serpentine than bug-like, though, I suppose. But it's neat.
I mean, it's more like, for me, this is more somewhere between like hydra and carnivorous plants. It does have these sort of leg-like structures at the bottom, but then those also kind of look like the little sort of teeth-like structures that Venus flytraps have when they close. I don't know. This one is kind of defies classification for me.
All I know is I have to go buy a copy of it now.
Yeah.
I love this.
You don't have one of these just laying around?
Not yet.
Okay.
So there you have it. Saprolings are not bugs, everyone.
No, not bugs. For everyone who, for all the inquiring minds that need to know.
I'm very glad we could clear this up.
Yes.
Well, that'll be us for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. It's been fun.
It has.
Speak to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on MTG Flavoursauce. If you like what you see, please like, share, or subscribe. See ya!